When another YouTube reseller channel starts out their video talking about meta and claiming that it stands for most effective tactic available, I would really be careful about following that person. Not just following their channel, but following their advice. Now, they might have some good things to say. Some of the things they say might make sense. But if you have been reselling for a while, like I have, you can see the the nonsense among some of the things that do make sense, if that makes sense. So I'm not going to tell you the person's name, or at least their public name on YouTube. You can figure it out. I'm sure you'll see it in your, when you go on YouTube, probably some of his videos will be suggested to you, especially if you're watching a lot of reseller videos, considering that he has way more subscribers than I do. Is probably going to be recommended to you. So I'm Andrew from 510 Books. I'm here in my store, Southern California. This is a real business, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that. This is a real retail business that I've had for 6 years now, actually this month. And I also have a real reselling business on eBay, mostly a tiny, tiny bit on Amazon, which is where I first started. But it's like 95, probably higher than that percent on eBay now in terms of my online selling. So I do have these two real businesses. The reason why I say that is because this particular YouTuber made the statement that, quote, he is a true business professional. That's right, true business professional. So according to him, what makes him and others like him true business professionals is because they do private label selling on eBay and ostensibly on Amazon as well. So, and I know that he sells on Amazon because another partial video, or watched a little bit of one of his other videos where he talks about, actually I watched that whole video, I take it back. At the end of the video, he talks about selling some sort of automobile related item in the automotive sector. And he's selling it on Amazon, and he's running paid ads, which then he, once he's getting sales, then he pulls that back. And anyway, it's a whole strategy, right? Which I've heard about, 10 years ago. So it's not a new strategy. Private label's not new. Running ads anywhere to build up a brand is not new. These are all old ideas. But whatever, there's nothing wrong with them. Of course, you can do private label. You can invent your own product. Of course, then it's your own product. You can also do what I'm doing, which is reselling in the truest sense of the word. A book that I got a hold of it could be from a variety of different sources. And I'm reselling it because obviously it was sold brand new for much more. And now I'm reselling it for much less, keeping it in people's hands, looking for new readers, etc. So talks about meta. So this is a new term I learned called a backronym, which means that you apply an acronym to a word like meta. And I'm not saying he invented this, but someone else did invent this. Meta stands for, well, I already read it to you or showed it to you on the computer. But most effective tactic available. But apparently meta refers to gaming, and it's something entirely different, right? But nonetheless, most effective. Well, how do we break down effective? Does that mean the quickest, the least expensive, the most profitable? He does not break that down. But it depends on what your goals are, right? If your goal is to just make the most amount of profit you possibly can, you can do that in a lot of different ways. So again, I've been reselling for 10 plus years. I started out like most people do, which is, going to garage sales, yard sales, estate sales, thrift stores, a lot of thrift stores, library book sales where they have a lot of books, obviously, and other physical media to find items to sell on Amazon only. And then I started to get into eBay, and where I could sell other things. Like on Amazon, I was selling books, then CDs, then records, vinyl records, and then VHS tapes. But these were all things that I would find for super cheap. pennies, nickels, dimes, a couple of bucks sometimes, obviously, anywhere between like $1 to $3 on average, and then you resell them. So same thing I'm doing here in my retail store and what I'm doing on eBay and a tiny bit on Amazon. And what he's talking about is doing something much more complicated, but something that you can do, private label selling, where you create your own brand. So XYZ brand, and you get a logo, you get your color scheme, and then you find a product that you want to sell. So this could be an existing product that someone is already manufacturing, or maybe you're creating your own product, or you're a twist on a product, whatever it is, and someone else makes it. You slap your label, your private label, your own company on there, and you sell it on Amazon, you sell it on eBay, you promote the heck out of it, and you sell a bunch of them, right? So there's a lot more involved in that in terms of finding the product, finding the niche, creating your logo, getting that designed, paying for all of these items. It depends on how you set it up, but if you're selling it on eBay and you're getting tons of orders, well, then the manufacturer has to be manufacturing them. So there's a lot more. It's a lot more complicated than just finding a book at the thrift store, putting it on Amazon or eBay, selling it, shipping it, right? Obviously, but neither one is more or less of a business, of a real business, period. And if he ever watches this video, I'm talking to you. What is it? What did he say his name was? Mason. Mason, you are not more of a business person than anybody else that is doing reselling. It's just that the reason why most of the reselling videos are about similar things is because it's easier to do. Private label is much more expensive, much more time intensive. Takes a lot longer to build up something like that. And you can do it. I never wanted to do it. I still don't want to do it. It's not something that I'm interested in. I want to sell what I'm into, which is, and I love and know about, which is books, music, movies, and video games. That's what I want to sell. You can sell anything you want. You can create your own products. You can private label it. You can obviously resell it, right? You can go out and sell golf clubs. You can sell baseball bats. You can sell whatever you want. Maybe you get a source where you're getting new stuff. It's not private label, but you're getting new stuff. I can search for shelf pulls, let's say, of media from some big box store, right? Like a Walmart or a Costco or Target or whatever it is, and I could find, get tons of the same titles and sell them over and over again, which is the same thing. There's also replenishables, which are products that people buy on a consistent basis. It could be food, it could be hair care, it could be skin care, it could be clothing, it could be all kinds of stuff that on a weekly or monthly basis, everybody is buying them. So there's replenishables as well, but you need a source for that, and you need to be able to buy it at a price that you can then sell it for more and still be competitive. So these are all like common sense things. The other example, right. So then the other example is, I don't know if you know who Pat Flynn is. I used to follow him for a long time when he was a blogger, not a vlogger, but a blogger. He had a blog for a long time called Smart Passive Income, which I think he still has, but he doesn't blog. But anyway, he talked about that. It was mostly affiliate marketing, and then he got into selling courses about how to make money, that kind of thing. And then he ended up inventing a product. Well, it was a twist, right? It was called a Switch Pod, which is a tripod for vloggers. And him and a business partner had it, they had the vision in their brain of how they wanted it to work. They wanted it to be like quick. They wanted to be able to use it effectively. It works well in your hands. You can also put it down. You can access it, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, they took years and they had it designed and built, went through a lot of different prototypes. They ended up having it manufactured in China somewhere. And to this day, it's being sold on Amazon and their own website. And they ran a Kickstarter. They got a bunch of people to back it. It seems to have been successful. So that's an idea of someone that, came from affiliate marketing, selling courses, which he still does, sells courses for to help people create their own membership sites and all that kind of stuff. But he still has that going and selling that. So, that's an example of a different type of business. Look at Shark Tank, right? Hold on. Let me show you. I found a website that shows, Shark Tank products, right? And look at all of these different Shark Tank products that have been on Shark Tank. Remember Scrub Daddy? That was a guy who invented a different type of sponge, which I've tried and I actually don't like, but nonetheless. And now he's had a bunch of other products that are offshoots of it and was really successful at that. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff. What is this? Busy Baby mat, the placemat. All kinds of things, different types of products, physical products that people came on to Shark Tank and said they wanted to sell. Some of it's food, et cetera, et cetera. You get the point that there's all kinds of different types of products you can sell. And, reselling in the sense of like taking something that's already been sold brand new and now reselling it as a used item has been going on forever. You can also resell new products that just didn't sell, right? So is Target a reseller? Does Target have its own products? Yes, they have their own products, but also they mostly sell other brands. Is Walmart a reseller? Yes, right? They have their own products, but they also resell new condition, other brands and other products. So everyone's reselling, right? It just depends on how you want to go about it. The other thing I wanted to say is if you are a true business professional and you are, which to me says that you're making a lot of money, why do you have a YouTube channel? If you're making lots and lots of money, aren't you too busy running your businesses to be making lots of YouTube videos and spending lots of time researching these videos? So there's nothing wrong with making YouTube videos, but my point is, it's a little suspect to me that you have so much time on your hands to make those videos if you are the true business professional. This is the first time I think I've ever made a video specifically about a particular other YouTuber, but it just really got to me. And the reason why is, well, I've told you why, but I just want people that watch that stuff to be careful. While you can get good information from someone like that, and I agree with some of the things that he said, like talking about other resellers, big YouTube channels, other resellers that have big YouTube channels, things like, oh, you have to list every day. You have to always be doing some sort of activity on eBay to get any sales. Build your draft bank. All of that stuff is total nonsense. And I've said that for a long time and he agrees with it. And great, I agree with him. And I will probably agree with him on other stuff. Is doing private label a viable business? Absolutely. Can you make tons of money on it? You can if you find the right products. You can definitely do that. Can it run entirely autopilot? Well, I don't know if he said that, but no, because you have to make tweaks, right? But anyway, yes, this is what I've been a part of other Facebook groups, Amazon reselling Facebook groups, and a lot of them do private label, and they're like, oh, look at all these sales I got, and my my profit margin is like this, right? And they're super excited. They're selling, $80,000 worth a month, but their expenses are like 70,000, so whatever. It's different models, business models, right? If you're willing to spend 70,000 to get 80,000 to make 10,000, you get my point, right? That the profit margins in what I'm doing are super high, but I also understand they're one-off items. So clearly, I do occasionally find multiple copies of a good product to sell, and I can seek that out more, but I have a much larger knowledge base because I've sold so many different items. But again, I'm not saying this is the best way. It's just the way I do it, and it's one way you can do it. If you want to seek out to sell only 5 particular products and just sell hundreds of them, thousands of them a month, go for it. If you're going to put in that effort and find those sources, great. Those are just different ways. There's no better or true or more effective way. So I just wanted to put that out there. I hope it helps. And I hope that it is make sense to you. If you disagree with me, that's fine. But, you know, there's just a lot of things that stand out that, you know, taking the emotion, like he said, take the emotion out of it. It's just, what's the best result? Well, what do you consider to be the best, right? Making the most money? But in order to do private label, you're going to have to spend a lot of time and a lot of money to get to that ultimate most effective way, or most profit, which I assume is what you mean by most effective. So, again, you know, to me, it doesn't really make sense to tell people that there's a better way when all kinds of different ways of reselling exist. Is it simpler to just go to the thrift store and buy stuff and then resell it on eBay, on Amazon, than trying to doing tons of research, hours and hours and hours of research, finding a particular niche or product where you can buy it from a manufacturer in another country for cheaper than here, and then create a what do you call it? Your own brand and slap it on there. Is that more effective? It's more complicated and it takes much more time. Is that what everybody wants to do ultimately that's doing reselling? Probably not. Probably hardly anybody wants to do that as a percentage of everybody that resells and sticks with it for, let's say, more than a year. Because many people will do this for a few weeks, a few months, and then they'll say, no, that's not for me, which is fine. But anyway, so I don't have much more to say about it. But anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.